What are the next trillion-dollar companies? Now, it's hard to know for sure, but we're going to look at 5 stocks here today that are high growth that I think could be trillion-dollar market caps within the next 5 and 10 years, maybe as soon as 2030. Now, a couple of these stocks will be pretty obvious to you, but there are a couple stocks on this list that might surprise you, so you're going to want to see all 5 stock picks. And I encourage you to drop comments below. Let me know what companies you think will be the next trillion-dollar companies. So let's get the obvious one out of the way. This stock was already over a trillion-dollar market cap at one point. It's Tesla, and they reported earnings last night. Pretty strong earnings, up 7.75% at $155 pre-market. Now that's over 50% from the lows of the year already, just in a couple of weeks. You can see the 52-week high was $384. It was actually over $400 at one point. It got down to the 52-week low at $101.81. This is trading around a 40-44 PE ratio right now, and the market cap on here is at $452 billion, but pre-market it's actually up over 10% now. Just in a couple minutes, it's jumped from 7 to 10%. Now, if we look at the market cap history for Tesla, this was a $1.239 trillion company just back in January of 2022, so about a year ago. And if we look at a list of the largest market cap companies in the world right now, you can see some of the names that are already over $1 trillion, but the number is not very high. At this point, there's only 4 companies. Amazon's below $1 trillion. You got Berkshire Hathaway in the running. You got Nvidia, Taiwan Semiconductor. Tesla's down here at 13th, and at one point it was much higher. So Tesla's earnings report was solid last night overall. Some of the highlights here, so earnings adjusted EPS, $1.19 versus $1.13 per share expected. Revenue is $24.32 billion. That's versus $24.16 billion expected. Now, the stock took off after hours when Musk on the earnings call said that the company could produce 2 million cars this year. You can see here where it's highlighted, they now have $22.2 billion in cash. Revenue was up 37%, operating costs down 16%, and operating profits surged 49%. Now, one thing to note here, gross margins came in at 26.9%. That's the lowest in the past 5 quarters. And a reminder, guys, that earnings lag. So recently, Tesla just reduced prices. They dropped the prices on several of their cars, and that will impact margins moving forward. So it's something to keep in mind as an investor. Here's a quote from Musk last night on the earnings call. As we get closer and closer to solving real-world AI. Now, I just did an AI stocks video, top 10 high conviction pick and shovel type plays, and Tesla was on that. If you haven't seen that series, definitely check it out. But he said, as we get closer and closer to solving real-world AI, and we don't see anyone even close to us achieving in this, you appreciate this and a few others do, but most don't know what I'm talking about. This is an AI company. It's not just a car company, and it's really a clean energy tech conglomerate. So they've got EVs, they've got solar, they've got all kinds of different things they're working on, even robots. And it's not hard to see this company back at $1 trillion market cap, and it might not even take that long for it to happen. So Tesla's a no-brainer. It's the first one on the list, and you definitely want to see the next 4 stocks. Now, Nvidia is the future of AI, and it was also on the AI series I just did for pick and shovel plays. Semiconductors, the new oil. And Nvidia is expensive here, trading at an 82 PE ratio. It does pay a small dividend, but it's very tiny. It's 0.08%. Now, Nvidia got up to $329.85 back in November of 2021, and the 52-week low is $108.13. It's also up slightly pre-market, about 2%. Market cap right now, guys, is just under $500 billion as well. It's $475 billion. So at its peak in November of 2021, this was an $834 billion market cap. And you can see it fell back in October of 2022, all the way down to $288 billion. So Nvidia is the second stock, and this one's not hard to see it at $1 trillion market cap. Okay, now let's make it interesting. I'm gonna give you a couple curveballs here. Before I do that, guys, please subscribe to the channel and click that bell for notifications. I'm trying to grow this channel to over 40,000 subscribers in 2023, and you can help me out by subscribing now. Now, this stock is not only very expensive, it's also a really long ways away from $1 trillion market cap. You have to be careful with this because it's a speculative, expensive type stock. The market cap on it right now is under $50 billion. Now, this stock, like a lot of stocks back in November of 2021, they topped out. This was at almost $400 a share, and it got down to $110 in the 52-week low. So even at its peak, it was only $122 billion market cap. Still has to go about 10x to get to $1 trillion. So why am I so bullish on Snowflake? Well, first of all, if you don't know my background, I worked in software, sold software for about a decade. And I feel like I know this company very well. And I also invested in ServiceNow back when Frank Slootman was the CEO there. Everything he's touched has turned to gold. I really believe in the management of this company. And when you think about the TAM, the total addressable market, market. What Snowflake is doing is it's taking all this siloed data, so data from all these disparate systems at a company, and it's allowing users to make use of that data. And data is very, very powerful. You think of digital transformation, this is the future, and being able to use data in a meaningful way in real time. So you can take information from finance, from suppliers, third party, from the web, Internet of Things, sales, everything, combine that, make dashboards that are user-friendly, and that can help your company provide results. So they call this the data cloud. When you think of big data, Snowflake's one of the first companies I think about. And I also think that this company has huge potential to be an advertising tech giant as well. The platform takes collaboration, data engineering, cybersecurity, data science, machine learning applications, combines all of that. And this isn't SaaS, it's consumption-based. Think of data warehousing as a service. Now, one of the huge advantages of Snowflake is its partnership ecosystem. You can see on your screen, they work with all the big dogs, Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, tons of different companies, consulting partners like Accenture, and so on. So this is calendar year 2026, and their TAM is $248 billion. That's a long ways away from $1 trillion, but I'm thinking, 5-10 years out. So if I'm thinking 2030, 2033, this could certainly be $1 trillion market cap. I do have a playlist on Snowflake on the channel, so if you're interested in doing a deeper dive and learning more about Snowflake, check out that playlist, but the ticker is SNOW, S-N-O-W. Now, before I go on, guys, I need to announce this video is sponsored by The Motley Fool. If you'd like to see the 10 best stocks to buy now, visit fool.com/firedupwealth. You can also check out our private community. We also have a Discord. Visit patreon.com/firedupwealth. Now, the fourth stock pick also has a long ways to go to get to $1 trillion market cap. This is Mercado Libre, ticker is MELI, and it's trading right now at a market cap of about $57 billion. This stock was almost $2,000 a share back in August of 2021. In the 52-week low was $600.68. So even at its peak, it was less than $100 billion, still 10x away from $1 trillion market cap, and it's trading right now closer to $50 billion. So why do I think that Mercado Libre could be $1 trillion market cap? Next, I'll share a couple slides, and I have a deeper dive video on MELI on the channel as well, and you can check that out after this video. Now, I'm not gonna go through all these because again, I have a deep dive on the channel, so check that one out after this video is done. But Mercado Libre, when you think of all the different countries they're in, they are the leader in Latin America, and they're even expanding outside of that. They have operations in Portugal, and I think there's a lot of opportunity for expansion, not only within the countries they already are in, but also in new countries. When you think of their flywheel, it's really cool because it has so many different sectors of the business. When you think of e-commerce in the yellow there, you think of more like an Amazon retailer type business, right? Mercado Shops, kind of like a Shopify. You've got the fintech business, you've got the advertising segment, you got the credit segment, you got logistics solutions. And when I think of fintech, you hear different numbers like 70% are bankless within Latin America. So there's a lot of opportunity to grow that fintech part of their business. And you think of just internet user growth worldwide, it's expanding dramatically. Number of internet users expanding dramatically, especially in Latin America. You think of some of the countries they're focused on, there's just a lot of growth. There's a lot of total addressable market here. The GDP forecast, all the data here is very supportive of this company continuing to grow. It has a long way to go to get to $1 trillion, but I do think that Mercado Libre can get there if you're thinking about the next 10 years. The fifth stock is Taiwan Semiconductor, and it does have some China risk, but this is trading right now at about a $421 billion market cap. The stock was as high as $140 a share, and it got down to the 52-week low at $59.43. So at its peak, Taiwan Semiconductor was close to a $730 billion market cap, not too far from $1 trillion market cap. And I'm not saying it's going to go back there overnight, but when you think about Taiwan Semiconductor, you think about semiconductors, the new oil. So companies like Nvidia, AMD, some of the best fabulous semiconductor companies in the world. They design semiconductors and they send them to foundries like Taiwan Semiconductor. And Taiwan Semiconductor is the leader in foundries. They produce those chips. They manufacture those chips for these huge innovators like Nvidia, AMD, and others. I think this is one of those companies. If you think of moats, there's not a lot of business that have moats. And sure, there's some competition. When you think of the nanotechnology that these guys can do, they are the best, and it's hard for anybody else to even keep up with them. And when you think of foundries, it takes a lot of money and resources to build these new factories, to build these new plants. And so it's not easy. There's a lot of barriers of entry just to step in and try to compete there. So this is the fifth stock on the list, guys. Ticker is TSM. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, click that bell for notifications, drop me a like, drop me a comment. I appreciate your time and attention. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.